Hello, my name is Jordan and you're welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be teaching you how to cut, how to sew, how to measure yourself or your clients for this particular design. I know we have different measurements for different designs, but what I'm going to be doing on each video is to focus on what particular measurement you need for that particular design. For example, today I'm going to be teaching you how to cut and sew an Ankara fringe top. So I won't be giving you or teaching you how to measure for pants. Hope that it's clear. And the purpose of my videos is to teach beginners how to sew. So if you're a professional, you're welcome. But please, these videos are for beginners. So I'm going to be teaching them skills and hacks that will make it easier for them. I've had several years experience in this, so I know how best to teach and educate you when it comes to sewing and measuring and all that. And one more thing is, I'm going to be relating with you as though I'm teaching my 9-year-old. Do you understand me? What do I mean by that? I won't be too technical. I'll be as plain and easy as possible. This video is good for students, it's good for stay-at-home parents, if you want to learn how to sew, if you want to start a business and you have zero or no capital, but at least you have a sewing machine. I believe a whole lot of us have that in our spaces. So straight to business. I think we'll be having just 3 measurements. Yeah, just 3 measurements. So, just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. I'm going to be as open as possible, as plain as possible, and I really do not have so much time for editing. No, this is not supposed to be a professional thing. This is supposed to appear as plain. So pardon me when I make errors, grammatical errors, verbal errors, or I quickly need to pick 1 or 2 things elsewhere. I do not have the strength and energy to be editing. Please, I beg, manage that like that. Please, don't vex. Please. I'm a mom to 3 children. Please, I don't have energy to be editing. Just follow me as I go. Biko. Okay, so we're going to start with, I'm going to talk about 3 measurements. Now, let's assume this is my friend. Okay? What measurements would you need to achieve the Ankara fringe top? Let's start with the blouse length. When you're measuring, start from the shoulder. The shoulder here. Shoulder. Okay? Now the length of this top depends on you. You don't have to use my own measurements. I am going to be using blouse length 18. It's more of a crop top kind of a length, so you might want to make it shorter, but sorry, depends on you. I will be using length 18. Okay, and mind you, this top does not have zip. You fit into it as though you are wearing our regular buba. It's possible to wear something that doesn't have a zip. For example, look at me. I'm wearing like a gown. It doesn't have a zip, so I just fit into it. That is exactly the concept of this top. So this is the length I'll be going with, length 18. Don't forget, this is not the total length, this is the length of the crop parts, 18. Then the fringe parts, the fringe depends on how long you want it. For example, if you want your fringe to get to the knee, this is 36. I'll be making my fringe length maybe 18. Guys, don't open that door, I'm busy, please. So that makes the total length 36. Don't forget blouse length 18, fringe length 18. Depends on you. You can choose to, let me take this down a little bit more. You can choose to take it all the way down, totally depends on you. Please, I'm providing you with the major structure of how to achieve this, so totally depends on you. You can go all the way down, or you can choose not to even make your fringe, get to the length I selected. So another measurement you would need is, we call it body or we call it back, but this is a bit different. You start from the back of the neck here to the length which you desire. So I'm coming to the back of the neck here, and I'm taking it over the shoulder. You can see. So this part totally depends on what you want. You can choose to stop here, stop here, stop here. What for me, I'll be taking it all the way to 16. So we've taken measurement 1, blouse length. Don't forget, measurement 2 is the back. Let me recap what I took from the back. I said start from this part, take it over your shoulder, and then I went all the way. I stopped at 16. In fact, what I'm wearing is actually length 16. Hope you get that. Then number 3, that's how wide you want this place to be. You can choose to make it wider or small, or not this wide, but I always advise to give it enough room. When you give it enough room, it's easy. I wish I had like some camisole underneath. I will show you how free you can see this. Let me just choose. You can see how free it is. I just pick it up, then slide into it. Simple, because it's easy, it's free. If this part were to be too fitted, it would be difficult to get into it. So make this part as free as possible. How would you do that? Remember where your back length stopped. You just put in your tape rule and then just like play with it. Let it be as free as you want. So I won't be particular about this measurement. It depends on what you want. So far so good. I think that is all. So we'll be going to the next part, which is the cutting of this top. Thank you. Okay, so guys, I prefer to do my cutting on the floor because it's always easier for me to stretch out my very long fabric. Of course I have a cutting table, but it's not big enough for illustration purposes. So, and then I'm assuming that I'm talking to beginners, and then if you're a professional and you've been doing this for years, you are still welcome. So to make it easy for you guys really understand, I prefer this surface. So please pardon me, and it has been sanitized, so you have no concern whatsoever. Okay, so now don't forget that I said for the fringe top, you need just 2 measurements, which is the length and the body. When I say body, I already illustrated it on the mannequin, so you understand what I mean by body. So let me grab my tape rule quickly. I've already cut this out of the body of my fabric. So this is the length I measured on the mannequin, don't forget, was 18. That is the length of the fringe top I want. So I included 1 inch to make it 19. Hope that's clear enough. I'm sorry if I have to repeat myself. I'm assuming I'm talking to beginners that are hoping to start up their fashion business. So with simple illustrations like this, you can actually start up something. To be quite honest with you, you can start up making for yourself, making for friends, and then you can make a couple of them and then put them online. And don't forget, you have to also learn how to practice your sewing. You know, your finishing has to be top notch. So I believe you've been training as well, but let me get down to business. So the two measurements we need: the length as illustrated on the mannequin, don't forget, and then the body. Remember, the body was 32. I mean, rather was 15. I said the inch was 15. Then you add an inch to make it 16. Then don't forget 16 in two places. That makes it 32. So let's just say I got out my length, which is 18 plus 1 inch allowance, and I got out my 32. Hope that's clear. So to make the cutting easier, I mean, if it were to be me, I would have just put it and cut whatever I want to cut, but let me grab my lining. Do that quickly. And then I would also fold my lining exactly how I folded my top. You know, I wouldn't want to go all technical on you, not right now. I'll rather wait, you know, a few more weeks. I mean, there are sort of some tricks to cutting out the lining, but let me just go as basic as possible. So I'm just going to lay it over my lining. Ideally, for professionals, your lining is supposed to be shorter than your major fabric. You know, I mean, that was how I was trained in Africa, and then it's worked for me. You know, it makes your work more tidy and you appear more professional. But if you can also sew this in properly, you would easily, if you can sew this very well, which I can sew very well, I'm good enough to hide the excesses underneath. You might not understand what I mean by that, but we'll get to that pretty soon. So I'm just going to cut this out. I'm trying to make sure that it's really sitting properly. And then when you start getting a whole lot of orders, you would have to get fabric cutters. I mean, I'll show you with time when I start using them. You know, fabric cutters, they are used when you have to cut a large quantity of fabric. For example, you have close to 100 or 200 orders of this particular design. Are you going to be comfortable stretching out all the time, cutting one after the other? Definitely not. So when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. I mean, I can't introduce that fabric cutter to you now, you know. Okay, now back to this place. You see that I folded it. Now, do not forget, this is the length. Do not forget, this is where you have your shoulder, where we measure the shoulder. You can see it's close, like this upper part is not opened. So don't make a mistake. You might mistakenly turn it this way. So maintain it this way. This part is joined, is continued. This upper part too as well. So looking at this now, in order for you not to get confused, this is the sleeve part. This is the sleeve part, and the sleeves depend on you really, how large you want it to be or how small. In as much as you want it to be nice and fancy, consider the fact that if you make this sleeve too fitting, you won't be able to get into your clothes. Remember, it's a free fringe Ankara top. It's not a fitted one. If it's a fitted one, we are going to have to use zips or buttons or what have you to get into it. So I don't know if you remember our cultural Iro and Buba. This is actually the concept of making Iro and Buba. But this time around, we are not separating the sleeves from the body. We are joining the body to the sleeves. We are making everything once and for all. So we are taking out sleeves. I am taking out 9.5. 9.5. Let me get out my pen. You can use a chalk if it's going to be easier for you, but I kind of over the years stopped using chalk, so I just prefer to use markers and all that. So I'm taking out 9.5 for this, and then I'm taking out, remember we measured 15, remember, and I added 1 inch for the body. You come this way. Hope you can. Let me come closer. Let me start all over. I'm taking 9.5 from here, from the upper parts. Don't forget, 9.5. Don't forget, I'm also marking this from the inner fabric. By the time I'm done sewing, you're not going to see my mark, and then I'm making this really bold so you can see clearly what I'm trying to do. Of course, I'm not going to be marking client fabric. I mean this way. Then I'm coming this way to measure 2 inches. So I'm just going to use my tape rule to take this down, more like cutting out a rectangle out of this. And then I get my scissors. So, as I said, I really want you to understand the concept, not exactly, I mean, this particular measurement. You can choose to take in like a longer sleeves. It totally depends on you, but this is just the basic. I can choose to take this in a little deeper. It's what I want, but as long as it doesn't affect the body measurement way too much. I'm not going to be taking it longer, more than this. So whatever you are doing, don't affect the measurement of your body way too much. Please don't. Then I'm coming to the neckline. I think we are going to have a totally different video on the neckline. Now, if you want to cut out necklines, I'm going for round neck. You can choose to do v-neck, but for this particular outfit, that's actually, I'm not just making this video, a client ordered this, so I'm coming for the neck. I want to cut out the neck. Please, the neck is this way. Don't forget, this is the sleeve part, so it shouldn't confuse you in any way. Don't come here and cut out the neck from here. Please just look at what I'm doing. The upper part that is joined, that's where I'm coming. So now for the neck, don't forget I try to explain a little bit about the neckline on the mannequin. Depends on how wide you want your neck to be. For me, and for this client, for example, she's about a size 10, and she doesn't like her neckline too wide, so I'm going to be going for about 4.5 inches. So to be on the safer side, I'll just cut out 4. And then there are also stencils for you to use. They are sold in the regular fabric and tailoring stores. When you get there, you have all these stencils you use to cut out your neckline and curves and armholes and all that. So I'm taking out 4 there. I won't be taking out 4 here because she said she doesn't want it to be too low, so she wants something like regular but a bit like high. So I'm taking out 3 inches. So do not forget 3 inches by 4 inches. Now let's get a perfect rectangle there. If I were just the one, I would have just cut what I'm going to cut out. So I'm just going to curve this out a little bit. Did you see how I bent it? I didn't come all the way here to just turn it. Did you see? I think I need to get something whitish so that you can really see it properly. I doubt if you see that, but don't forget, I just 4 inches by 3 inches and then cutting it out in a curve. Yeah, there we go. Nice and easy. So as I said, this is the basic, and I'm also trying to repeat myself over and over again because I'm just assuming I'm talking to beginners. Please pardon me if I'm repeating myself over and over again. This is exactly how you also cut your, if you want to make Iru and Buba, this is also how you cut your short sleeve Buba. That is if you wouldn't be joining the sleeves to the body. It totally depends on you. There are different styles, different techniques to achieving your goals when it comes to sewing. So there isn't a particular method or a particular technique better than the other. It just totally depends on what suits you. So for example, if you want to cut a V-neck, I would have assumed that when I measure the neck, I will just draw a line, a V, to meet it this way. Do you understand? This is what I would have done if I'm trying to get a V-neck. This other part too will be well and have a better angle here. Did you see that? That is my V-neck. So the longer the V gets into the blouse, that means you are getting deeper into the cleavage. So be very careful not to go to this client particularly mentioned she doesn't want this to be too low. She doesn't like to show off too much of her neckline. So I can choose to reduce this a little bit further. I'm just trying to play with the neck. So you see that there is totally nothing to be afraid of when you are handling your fabrics. It's okay to be worried of destroying clients' clothes, which please I do not advise that. We have been through that, and then over the years it's not a pleasant experience. So okay, so we are done with this. So we'll move over to the sewing, but before we do that, the fringe, don't forget about the fringe. I'm going to be using pieces of the clothes. I'm going to cut out pieces for the fringe. I have a smaller scissors I would like to use for that. So basically the fringe depends on the length of the fringe. You can choose to make the length of your fringe from the top to the bottom There is no restriction, you know. So I will be doing this. Let me see. More like shredding them. I want to be sure how big or how tiny I want it to be. No, it's not big enough for me. Okay, so I'm cutting out roughly 2 inches. Please, for beginners, I would advise you measure your 2 inches approximately. You can see my 2 inches is perfect. You can see my 2 inches is perfect. I'm not even missing any dots. It's perfect because over the years I've mastered what 2 inches looks like. So please and please and please, I would expect that for you, you are measuring your 2 inches and then you are marking your 2 inches, you know. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I know what 2 inches looks like. I know what 4 inches looks like. I know what 5 inches looks like. I know what 10 inches looks like. So, and I'm never wrong. Not because I'm perfect, but because I've mastered over years, over time. So I'm not wrong. I'm sure about what I'm doing. I'm trying to avoid I cut into it. I'm gonna take this straight down. This part is still going to be useful. I'm just going to put my iron on this. So let's keep shredding. We need a lot of this. We need a lot of this. You really do not have to measure this once. So before you dive into the bulk part of your fabric, I always advise you shred your pieces first, because after I'm done with the pieces, I'm going to join the pieces and make them really long. You know, so you shouldn't be really concerned about the length of the pieces. Don't bother now. That's you bother about that later, not now. Still shredding 2 inches. Trust me, you might need up to maybe a yard or a yard and a half for this. And then when you make 1 or 2 of this, maybe you can try 2 different sizes. A size your size, and then a size bigger or smaller than yours. You can try it in 2 or 3 other fabrics. I mean, automatically you're already stocking up your store, and you do not have to be so greedy starting off. You can restrict yourself to 2 or 3 designs as a start, and then you work on your marketing. You market your product. How do I mean? Social media is the in thing right now. Your friends, your family, your colleagues at work. You go on your WhatsApp status, and then start making your bucks. Go on Facebook, go on Instagram. Like, I've not really been active on YouTube, and it's been long overdue. Go on YouTube. I mean, I've shredded quite a number, but trust me, this is not going to be enough. I'll just take out from here. I was hoping to make use of this part for like a head wrap. Maybe we won't be using any head wrap for now, but I mean, see what I'm trying to do. I'm coming to cut out the excess part. You know, as a beginner, always be mindful of how you use your fabrics. You know, do not just cut anyhow or anywhere. Always make use of your edges, the edges of your fabric. Try and finish up with any loose ends before you go cutting into another full or half yard or what have you. So let me say this is 3 yards. I mean 2 inches. Trust me, as soon as you master the techniques in all I'm teaching you, and you follow these videos closely, because I'm actually trying so hard to illustrate as though I'm talking to my 9-year-old daughter. So you just have to patiently watch and then be determined. Determination is also important. Your drive is also important, you know. So I think this should be enough, and just in case it's not, we'll get back into that and then we shred. And then if we have way too much, do not forget that we have clients that would see this. This already is for someone, even though I'm illustrating on YouTube, you know, somebody else would definitely see this. And then anytime I make stuffs for my clients, if I'm lucky or less busy or whatever, I quickly take the pictures and then post them online if I still have the fabric. And you'll be surprised at how many people make orders and requests for the same outfit. Most of the items I have on my shop, etsy.com, jordansmithng.etsy.com. Most of the outfits I have there are actually clients' requests, but I have the fabrics on ground, and then I have my team working with me. So when the order comes in, we quickly get to work. And then now you see the shredded pieces. I didn't just pack them all at once and then dump it somewhere. No, you start caring for your fabrics. You treat them as if they are special. You know, when you care for them little by little this way, it will be easier to sew. So we'll be moving up to, we'll be moving to the sewing part. So I'll see you there. Okay, so now I'm back to the body of the outfit. So what I did was I put the lining on the right side. The right side. This is the wrong side. The lining sits on the right side. You can see that it's well placed. So you can use your office pins or you can use safety pins. So I'm just going to use this to let it sit in place so that when I'm sewing, the fabric won't be moving here and there, you know. If you don't do it this way, you even as a professional, you run the risk of having it bent to one side. And remember, perfection is key. Perfection is important. you have to ensure that you get it right once and for all. I've told you several times, personally, I don't like when I have to loosen fabrics. Over the years, even people that have worked with me and students that have been privileged to teach, I always make that clear. Just get it right the first time. It makes everything easy. You know, makes it nice and easy. So I'm just going to take this all the way around. And not to forget, there are several ways to achieving your goal. I mean, I'll keep repeating that. The fact that I'm doing mine this way doesn't mean that there are no other ways to achieve, I mean, the desired results. So don't assume that this is the only way. I'm doing this because I'm having it, I mean, at the back of my thoughts that I'm teaching beginners, you know. That is why we are doing this way. It's also fine if you want to use same office pins. I've over the years preferred to use safety pin because I don't know how to explain it, but our office pins in our offices just automatically disappears. But with the safety pins, it makes your fabric and your lining sits well, and then you do not have to get worried that the pins might hurt you, you know. And then you have to be really careful, especially in a factory where you have a lot of staff sharing pins and stuff. So you want to minimize the risk of people using sharp objects and then someone else picking it up and using it at the same time. So we just got used to safety pin. So it's fine if you use office, I mean, we got used to safety pin, yes, but it's fine if you use safety pins. Now that I've achieved, I mean, to a large extent, I've secured the edges. So I'm going to come this way to secure the neckline. Please be very careful. You need to get it right. This is the neckline. You can't afford to make it bent or over bent to one side. So what I did is, what I've done is I've taken it, I've held one side of the neck. I'm going to the opposite side to do the same. So I'm going to repeat the same process here. One side here. And then I'll go to the opposite side. For me, I'll basically stop here, but I would advise you just take it in maybe one or two other places. It's okay to take it. I mean, I'm trying to make it really easy. You understand me? Please. There are other faster ways to sew this, but they are complex. You get confused along the way. You know, if I have to sew a particular way, then turn it out, bend it in one way, you will get totally confused. So that is why we are restricting ourselves to this method. So what I'm going to be doing next is I'm going to be sewing the edges. You know, it looks like across. So I'm going to sew the edges this way, all the way. I'm not leaving anything out. I'm going to go round. And please remember that it's the right side facing the lining. So let's go and sew. Okay, so I've already started sewing the fringes that we're going to attach to the top. So let me just show you how I'm doing it. I mean, this method will make your work really easy. So I'm attaching, all I'm doing is I'm taking the right side and the right side together, the right side and the right side. So I'm just stitching it. Yeah, this is one of my favorite machines, so it depends on whatever machine you have. It doesn't really matter if it's an industrial machine or a local machine, as long as you are able to achieve your goal. So I'm coming to the end of one of this shredded parts, and I'm picking up another one. See that? And we are still doing the same process, the right side and the right side facing each other, and then stitching it. I'm going to try to double stitch here. Double stitch means you take it front and you take it to the back. So I think we need to have another training on how to like use your sewing machine, you know, or how to thread your machine. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do a video on that to show you. Now don't forget, if you see what I'm doing now, this free end, from the same one, the free end, I'm attaching another one to it, right side and right side, doing the magic together. So taking my machine up to feed my machine with the fabric, front back I double stitched, front back I double stitched. So we keep going and going and going till we are done. Just take your time. Over the years, I've trained so many students back in Africa, you know, and then I keep telling them one particular thing, and if you can allow that to be like your watchword, it makes life easy for you. Try as much as possible to do the right thing while sewing, so you won't have to losing anything, you know. It's quite frustrating. It's quite frustrating if you have to, oh, my thread is off. It's quite frustrating if you are making something and then you get to a particular point and then you realize you've made a mistake, and then you have to go all the way to start all over or to lose, you know, and then you never can tell. Your fabric might not be the type that allows you to, that gives you the allowance to sew twice. We have a lot of fabrics that the moment you sew it once, if you're not careful, you know, your needle will have punched holes in it, so it's going to make it really difficult, and then your fabric won't be, your job won't come out neat. I think I'm out of thread on the lower parts. I'm just going to put the ones I have stitched together. I'm going to put it at one end. so I know what I have left. Meanwhile, let me quickly check. I think I'm out of thread from the wheeler. Oh no, I'm not. It's just, don't worry, I'm going to teach you all of this from time to time. So I mean, I should have done this a long time ago. I tried it earlier, but I don't know, I just got distracted with so many things, running so many businesses, you know. So now I think I need to focus a whole lot on this. I mean, and then I've had so many requests for online videos, like teaching, and then it's totally free. What I'm doing, I mean, I'm not, don't forget the right side and the right side. What I'm doing, I mean, I'm working on a client's outfit. So all I just have to do is put my camera, you know, on what I'm doing, and then easy does it. Did you see that? The same shredded parts, I'm going to attach another shredded part. You might be surprised at the end of the day, we might not exhaust all we have cut out, and you'll be surprised. You might have to cut another one. Never can tell. But I always advise. Oh, see, I almost made a mistake. The right side to the right side. The right side to the right side all the time. I mean, there are easier way to these things, but don't forget, I'm making this video for amateurs, people that are just starting. Please, I know we have professionals in the building, and I'm one. But what I'm doing is strictly for amateurs. So, and then that's why I've decided to use this machine as well. I mean, you can relate to something like this, and at the same time, you know, you can also make use of I mean, beginner sewing machines as well. You know, I wouldn't want to start training amateurs on probably an industrial machine, you know. But with this, it's really old, it's vintage, and then you can relate it with the same kind of machines we used back in Africa, or you can also relate it to the videos, I mean the machines you used as a beginner, you know. So I'm just going to take my time to, I'm really taking my time to finish all of this. You know, it's better I have enough of my fringe than when I'm about to finish up with my outfits. You find me struggling now. I love this. I've made a mistake. I've made a mistake here. Now this part that I joined, oh no, I was correct. Pardon me, I was correct. Pardon me. I think I'm almost done with this set. The right side facing the right side. Yeah, just gonna sew that together. Right side facing the right side. I mean, we are going to have so much fun doing a lot of videos, and trust me, I'm not just making this video, you know, for the fun of it. I'm actually working. But trust me, if I were to do this on my own without having to go really slow and explaining here and there, I would have been done with this outfit. It's not an exaggeration. I'm sure the professionals in the house will agree with me that you can finish up this top in less than an hour, or probably you are distracted, so let's say 2 hours, you are done. You are done because you don't have so much of you don't have so much of trying to put in zips here and there and what have you, you know. So I think I'm almost done. The right side. I'm sure I've repeated myself like 10 times. Pardon me, please. I'm just trying to ensure that we get it right. Once you get it right, you know, it's easy. And then it depends on you, really, and your style. If it's easier for you, oh, I think I'm done. Lovely. If it's easier for you to stitch it one after the other, it totally depends on you. Trust me. So let me try to centralize this a little bit more. Okay. Totally depends on you. Trust me. So I'm just going to cut the tiny joinings. The tiny joinings. Okay, we still have some more here. Tiny joining. You can see we have like a long roll. Can you see? It's a really long roll. And don't forget what I said. I mean, you can go overboard. This is just basic. I mean, as a designer or as a tailor or as a fashion entrepreneur, you have to go overboard. You don't exactly have to do it exactly like how I'm doing it. It totally depends on you. You know, you can make yours. I made mine about 2 inches. You can make yours 3 inches, 4 inches. It's totally dependent on whatever you want to do or whatever you want to achieve. Please, it depends on you. So we are just going to start folding this. It might take a long while for you, and I'm going to try to be slow as well, but pardon me, along the line I might get really fast, so you're going to have to forgive me for that. So see what I'm doing. I'm folding one end, folding the other end. Did you see that? And then closing it up together. So did you see that? Let me try it again. I'm folding about, it's less than half an inch of one side. I'm folding the other side as well. Did you see that? Please, my dearest professionals, I have to really take my time to teach, so please pardon me if I'm over repeating myself. This video and this training is targeted to beginners that want to start a fashion business, and then they want to do it themselves for a start, and then they grow from there. Okay, so you now close it up. Good. Then you bring it under your machine, and don't forget, whenever you do, you have to stitch. You have to stitch. I mean, technologies have made things a whole lot easier. We have some machines now that assist you with folding stuff like this. And as I said, there are different ways to these things. There are different ways. There are so many ways that makes, and there are so many ways, you know, to achieve your goal, and then it makes life easy for everybody. Some professionals would prefer to go on the my thread is my needle is off. Let me just pause the video. Okay, so some professionals would prefer to go on the weaving machine and then weave the edges, as long as they've gotten their lovely and perfect finishing, you know. But for a start, and then I'm assuming your capital is close to zero, you know, I'm not going to go on an overlocking machine and start overlocking. You know, you will tend to think that you can achieve this design without an overlocking machine. That's why I'm restricting myself to something really, really basic, which is your basic sewing machine. In fact, I won't be using overlocking machine when I'm doing my trainings for now. There are several ways to make things easier for you, trust me. You can see I'm trying to take my time, and while you are sewing, ensure that your needle is getting both edges. Please, it's important. That's very important, because imagine you ordering an outfit online, and then after a week or two you start seeing some corners losing. It's not good for business. Please, whatever you do, don't do that. It's not good for business. I beg you, in God's name. If you make a mistake, it's okay to lose it and go back, you know, and get it right. I've been a professional in this for several years, and I've had unhappy clients. I'm going to be as honest as possible. I've had unhappy clients complaining that, oh, they try to wear this outfit. Oh, fine, it's nice, but I'm trying to wear it the second time, the third time, and then it's losing. But of course, I mean, I won't say I am the particular tailor that made the outfit that, you know, the client complained about, but you are the brand name. You know, what was your quality controller? What were they doing? You know, I'm going to talk about so many mistakes I've made in the past as well. So many errors. That's why I'm a master in what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah, I am. Okay, I'm done with that particular one. Let me pick out another one. That one was probably pretty quick. Just cut up the side. So please take your time. It's okay to take your time and get it right. It's okay to take your time. It's okay to get it right once and for all, please. And if you are observant, you notice as I'm sewing, I keep double stitching. Double stitching won't make your fabric loose, please. Double stitching won't make your fabric to lose. Never. It will never happen. And the lovely thing is, as soon as I'm done with this outfit, I'm also going to show you a bit of how I do my photography. I'm going to teach you everything, don't worry. You know, I'm going to show you how I take my pictures of mannequins, you know, to achieve my desired results. And I'm also going to show you how I will upload the item for sale. And if you are someone or you are an amazing person watching this and you are thinking, oh, I don't want to go through all of this stress and I have some money invested somewhere, you can invest in some pieces of this particular design. You can decide, okay, Jordan, I want to sell some of this outfit online. I want to sell some of these outfits online and I would like to order a particular quantity. When it comes to my wholesale services, I do not restrict it to a particular quantity. You can order as little as 3 and as much as 1,000, 2,000, you know. So it totally depends on you. Totally depends on you. You can choose to order in different sizes, you know. You can choose to order size 8, size 10, size 12, more like size distribution. And of course, I'll explain the strategy. As soon as you buy, you get your mannequin. If you can't afford a mannequin for a start, you can start modeling your stuff. When you model your stuff, go online. If you're not ready to go online, you can just test the water. Start with your WhatsApp status. Wear your outfit, wear them out. Be confident in what you've made. And then when you want to start as well, I will always advise you to order for your label. You know, I can help you with that as well, or send you the link. You order your customized label, like you think of a fancy name. Yeah, you think of a fancy name that can cut across different age bracket, cut across different ethnicity, you know. I mean, it's good to sound original, but at the same time be marketable, you know. It's good to be original. I have no objections to that. But while trying to be original, let's not forget the purpose is to make money. The purpose is to what? Make money. Originality is lovely. I subscribe to it. But you need to start seeing returns from your investments, from your business. Otherwise, you get frustrated easily. Pardon me, I've got cold. So, and trust me, when you get frustrated and you get worried, start losing hope in yourself, in your business, and that is totally not healthy. You should be fired up all the time, you know. Good things, they say, it doesn't come easy, but you can be a master in it. Just take your time. So I would expect that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, or anybody watching this video, as long as you have a sewing machine in the house, or you have access to any. So I've missed the line, so I'm just going to honorably go back. Don't forget what I taught you. It's okay to go back to the line. I mean, that's why I kind of left this video running, so you can see that I also make some honest errors. You know, I'm not just going to ignore the fact that I went off trail. I actually went back. And don't worry about the excess threading. As soon as we are done with our outfits, it's what we call quality control. You have to look at your outfit in and out to be sure that you don't have losing and hanging threads here and there. It's very important. It makes business look really bad. Oh, trust me, you don't look good at all doing that. And the beauty of this is when you have clients, you know, they tend to come back. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop this video. So let me finish this up on my own. So basically, I really wanted you to see that I make errors as well. And I want you to realize that it takes time also. So don't be discouraged, don't give up. I'll be back for, as soon as I'm done, I'll be back. So I can take you to the next level. Okay. Okay, see again. I lost it over there. So I'm just gonna go back. Yeah, nice and easy. We are still going to end up cutting out all the hanging threads here and there. I mean, I run like a clothing factory, so we have dedicated staff that all they do is quality control. And their job is to point out sewing errors, loose ends, and all that. I mean, when I started off, I never used to do that. But over the years, I've noticed that consistency, perfection speaks for your work. Trust me, it does. And there's a raving movement for black-owned business. I mean, entrepreneurs, no, not just black-owned, handmade businesses. You know, a lot of people are beginning to look at people that are starting up handmade businesses, and then you get funded here and there. It's gonna be amazed as at how I'm feeding my machine. You know, I'm really trying so hard. I'll also be done with this particular video. So I'll just stop off the video then. When I finish up, I will be back. Almost done with this. Please just take your time and watch these videos. I'm not just teaching how to sew. I have a lot of things to do, trust me. I'm a mom with 3 kids. There's so much to be done within the house, but a lot of times my handwork has saved me from so many things, financially, mentally, emotionally. At times you get bored, at times you want to be creative, you just go on your machines and make beautiful things. And then turn your passion, turn your hobby, turn it to something that will fetch you money, you know. It makes a lot of sense that way. So please take your time and watch the video. I'm not just, you know, trying to have fun. No, making these videos are stressful for me, but just something I have to do. I will have been done with this, but I just need to show you step by step. You know, we started with measuring, then I came all the way to, after measuring we came all the way to cutting, after cutting we came all the way to sewing, and it doesn't end there. No, it doesn't. After we are done with the sewing, we are still going to go all the way to marketing, no, to photography. After photography we go all the way to marketing, you know, how I market my products, TikTok videos and all that. I'm almost done with this, so please just pardon me. Please, I don't expect you to be this fast as a beginner. Just take your time and get it right. I mean, some people will also prefer to use iron to hold the 2 edges, but it's so lot. It's a whole lot. By the time you sit to iron this, you'll be exhausted. So just take your time to fold the 2 edges and close them up, you know. So I'll see you in my next video. That is when I'm done with all. I still have a whole lot more to join, so I will see you in the next segment of the video. Thank you guys. Okay. Okay, so you can choose to sew from the lining part, and you can choose to sew from the back. So I think I'll prefer to sew from the back. Just a second, let me adjust this a bit so that you can see properly. Please be careful when you are sewing, so that when you are sewing, I mean, it's not all to have an inch, you know. I'm talking about those parts. Don't come and sew half an inch and then you are sewing 1 inch. No, maintain your line. Try to maintain your line, please. It's really important. If you don't maintain your line, at the end of the day, you realize that your outfit will be bent to one side. I mean, you're not a computer, you're not a machine, but you can try. Mastery is the skill in sewing. If you can master it, you realize that everything would be a lot easier for you in the long run. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my camera. Seems to, okay, it has a better grip now. Okay, so we are basically just going around the edges. See what I'm doing when I get here? You can see I was a bit careful there. And then also, when you have your outfits you are trying to construct, when you have it covered in pins and needles, you have to be really careful. Otherwise, if your machine needle runs into the pin or the needle, you might be in a little bit of problem. Trust me, a lot of people don't like it when you are making outfits, and at the end of the day you are having to change needles, and in some cases, if the impact is really massive, you will need a technician to fix your machine. That's just the truth. As soon as you are getting to where you have your needle, please be very mindful. Very mindful, please. As a beginner, you don't want to start having issues with your machine. You do not want to start having issues with having to change needles all the time. And in some cases, with experience, I repeat again, if the impact is really massive, you would need a technician to correct the impact. Please don't be absent-minded to the point where you forget that your outfit, your project is laced with needles. Please. I think we are almost done. Just take your time. You do not have to sew as fast as I am. I'm trying to cover the time as well. So I want that to get the scope. It's totally fine. Lord Jesus. Okay. You can see how I'm systematically bending and turning. Your Fashion 101 sewing class has to do with getting your edges and your curves right. When you get your edges and your curves right, when it's time to maneuver while sewing, you'll have already mastered it. So I'm definitely going to do a video on sewing 101. What does sewing 101 have to do in this case? Sewing 101 helps you get your lines straight and perfect. Sewing 101 helps you get your curves and your edges in line. As a beginner, you just have to know how to do all that. Otherwise, when you get to this kind of edges, you will run into problems. And then you won't want to mess up clients' outfit. No, we don't want that at all. You don't want that. Okay, I think I lost my thread there. Yeah. Let me pause it. Okay, so please, I would like you to pay attention. I'm coming to the edges. I'm going to be notching them little by little, just a little. That's why I'm using a small scissors. Notch a little, especially at the edges. Just notch it a little. Then I have so much excess here. Well, I won't be cutting it off, but you understand later why I'm not touching the excesses. Okay, so you remember the neckline? Now it's time to lose it. When you are losing, just keep your office pin or your safety pin, because you need it immediately. I'm removing the pin from the neckline. Yes, I think that's all. So the next day, let me move this back a little bit. Now the next thing is you turn from the neck. Remember, I used the pin to hold the neck together. So now you turn it inside out. Inside out. So you take your time when doing that. Don't worry, as a beginner, you're going to be wondering, am I doing the right thing? You just follow me step by step. I'm basically teaching as though I'm teaching a young child. So when I say do not worry, you get it, please trust me, you will get this. Okay, so I want to show you what we usually do. Now that I have turned it inside out, I'm going to use my scissors, or you can use another whatever equipment or object. I'm coming to my edges. Please, I'm not poking it too hard. If you poke it too hard, you are going to destroy your fabric. Don't forget, it's fabric. and I know the edge of my scissors is sharp, so I'm just going to all the edges carefully. We are still going to iron it, but at the same time I'm being careful not to poke it too hard. Okay, be careful not to poke it too hard. If you poke it too hard, you would definitely puncture your fabric. But if you poke it just with the little required energy, you know, you'll be good. So this is it. We are getting there. Amazing and lovely indeed. Okay, so we have turned the edges round. Did you see that? While we have the neck part opened, completely opened. Did you see that? So this is what we are going to do to the neck parts. Just follow me closely, okay? Now you're going to take, ideally I would prefer to do this on the floor, so please, I would advise you do this on a surface. I'm going to pick up my pins and do exactly what I did before I turned the fabric. Okay, coming to the two opposite edges. Okay, it helps your fabric sits better. You know, the opposite sides, doing the same here as well. You'll soon understand why we are doing this again. You know, the neck part is where, you know, people tend to say, when you're having a conversation with someone, you won't look over the person's face. You subconsciously be looking at their neckline. And if the neckline is not sitting well, it's not good for a designer. You know, imagine you wearing your outfit for an event. Probably you bought from someone, and then people are commenting that, oh, the outfit is nice, but it doesn't sit well. You know, it's not a good report. It's most likely that your client is definitely not coming back, and we do more than that. Now, see what I'm going to do now. You have to be really careful here. When I say careful, in fact, this is about, not trying to scare you, but I would say this is about the most careful parts in this project. What I'm going to be doing is on the right side, don't bother yourself, just follow me. On the right side, just tape it round with a machine. At the edge, just take the edge, but make sure as you're taking the edge, you are controlling the removal of your pins. At the same time, you are ensuring that You are not eating deep into your fabric. 2. 3. You are also ensuring that you are sewing at the edge. You are sewing what? At the edge. Is very important in this process. Because if you sew way too deep, you have already affected the measurement for your neckline, and necklines are very important. If you've already measured what your client would like, and then you are now sewing, okay, you can see that I've missed something there. I mean, pardon me, I know this video is really long, but you really need to see these little errors. You would probably face them as well. So when you experience errors like this, you would know how to fix it. That's why I'm not going to be editing that much. No, I'm not editing. So please forgive me if I make errors. I'm not editing this video. You are going to get it as raw as it is. I mean, when I get to a point where it's purely repetitive, you know, that's understandable. I will just, you know, end the video, finish up with the process, then come back. I mean, I'm happy this is happening while I'm doing it, so you can also pay attention and realize and understand that it's when it happens, you know, it's really nothing to worry about. It's just about fixing it. Okay, as long as you fix it, then we are good. As long as you fix it, we are pretty good. Let me switch on the ring light. Please, your neckline, take your time, please. Imagine taking a little from the opposite end, and then you get to this other side, and then you are taking 1 inch. By the time you are done with your outfit, it won't sit properly. Please, we don't want that. In as much as we are beginners, I've trained people that learned how to sew in 3 months. When I say in 3 months, at least the basics, and they are doing well. They just focused on some particular products, and they are totally fine, doing well. Please, if it's not possible, I won't be teaching you. My reputation is at stake here. I've trained so many people, I lost count, and I'm not exaggerating, God knows. Be careful with your neckline, please. You can do it, you can get it. And as I said, I would have to make a video on how to, your sewing 101, and I would like to focus, or rather I will focus on your curves, your edges, you know, and then the fact that you need to practice. Oh, I lost my... And the fact that you need to practice from time to time. I expect that in as much as you are trying to do business, Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, so let's proceed to iron it. Okay, so I'm proceeding to iron my fabric. Ironing the edges is really important. I'm making it quick. Be very considerate of the fabric. Some fabrics are polyester. That means they can't withstand so much heat. It's going to melt. So you need to be really sure of the fabric you're using, you're working with. So far, I hope you are here. I hope you have the same thing with you, right? Okay, so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do briefly. Now, remember the measurement of the top was 18, so we cut at 19. Do you see that? The sewing allowance is gone after we turned in the lining, so we have our 18 back. And remember, the total length we wanted was, with the fringe, was about 35, 36. So that would mean that my fringe is going to be about 18 inches long, or you can make it 17. Let me make it 18, or better still, I'll make it 19. So here is what I want you to do. At 19 inches, we are going to be cutting it out. Okay. So, more like trying to shred. This one is shorter than anticipated, so just take your time. You really do not have to keep measuring one after the other. As long as you lay it behind the previous one, you will get the exact measurement. You have no problem with that. So we keep cutting and we keep cutting and we keep cutting. We keep cutting. This one isn't going to be useful, so I'm going to throw that. Keep cutting. You don't have to be in a hurry, just take your time, please. Take your time to get it right once and for all. I will keep emphasizing on that. Always get it right once and for all. You wouldn't like it if at the end of the day you're not getting your measurements right and one part is longer than the other. You know, it doesn't speak well of your brand. So be in no rush. Get it done once and for all. Get it done, get it right, and you'll be amazed. You can see what I'm doing. I'm not exactly using the same tape rule to measure one after the other. I'm basically working with the dimensions I have on ground. Okay, I'm basically working with the dimensions I have on ground. Okay, so here we go. I hope this will be enough, and if it won't be enough, we still have leftover fabrics. We just go cut a little more and then set the ball rolling. So I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to come down to this. Okay, so we are going to be really careful here. See what I'm about to do? I'm using a blade. I'm using a blade, but I would advise you use a seam ripper. So what am I doing? Remember, we had already seamed this inside. So I'm going to loosen this out. See that? The reason for this is so that I can neatly insert the fringes I mean, it just makes it tidy, really. Please do not use a blade if you're an amateur. Use your seam ripper, please. Use your seam ripper. And don't forget that we've already ironed this, so we have that neat sitting nice and pretty. You're going to understand in a minute why I chose to do it this way. Okay, so now you probably are thinking, oh, why did I do it this way? Why didn't I just pick out my fringe and then attach to this? It doesn't make your work look neat. That is why I didn't do that. It won't make your work neat. So please just follow my steps. You are going to get it right and get it neat. So I'm just going to iron this. I'm going to press it down a little bit to make my work easier. So while I'm sewing, I won't attach it now. You can choose to attach it now and then use your pins to hold it down, but I wouldn't bother much because I have an idea of how I want to space it. Did you say that? You can choose to space it in 1 inch. See what I'm doing? This is about 1 inch. I'm just trying to show you. I'm not trying to make it perfect here. I'm going to make it perfect when I start sewing. 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. But I will do this on my sewing machine. So we are going to do the same After doing it for this side, you will do it for, you will loosen the other side, you will do it, you will loosen, this is very important, you will loosen the sleeve as well. Maybe I should just loosen the sleeve here. I'm just going to loosen the sleeve here. So do not forget, use a seam ripper. Do not use a blade, please. Do not use a blade. You do not want to deliver to your clients clothes that are torn. You are going to be in deep trouble. You are going to get terrible reviews, you know. And we do not want reviews that won't help us grow. You have good reviews, more clients that visit your shopping space are encouraged to buy from you. So be very particular about that, please. Okay, so this is the sleeve part that I opened up. Remember, I opened the blouse length, the lower part, so I also opened the sleeve part as well. And we are doing exactly the same thing. Ironing. After ironing, while I'm sewing, I'm going to create space of 1 inch. Mind you, I'm putting this inside the fabric and the lining, okay? But please, it's better you iron it so that it lays properly, okay? So let me just pause the video. I'll see you on the okay. So I'm going to start attaching my fringe. So the spacing totally depends on you. You can choose to space it 1/2 inch, 1 inch. I'm working with about maybe 1 inch and maybe 2, you know. So as I said, it totally depends on you, okay? You're just going to have to take your time so that you can lay it properly. Do not be in a rush. Just take your time. You've not uploaded it yet, so it's not like you have the order coming in yet. No, you don't. So do not be in a rush. Just get it right. I mean, as time goes on, we won't have to film every process because you'll have gotten used to the sewing patterns and all that. But for a start, my fellow students, I know the video is really lengthy, but just take your time and get it right once and for all. I mean, next time if I'm coming up with a new design and then you totally understand already how to structure or how to sew a basic bodice, we won't have to painfully record for long minutes. So just pardon me, I know the video is really long, but I assure you it's for the best. You can see how I'm carefully feeding the center of the fabric and the outfit, the fabric and the lining rather. I'm not in a hurry, I'm taking my time so that I won't end up losing and then restitching again. Try as much as you can to get it right the first time. Everything just works easy when you can do that. You get it right once and for all, you are good to go. Imagine after going through so much stress, I realized that I didn't space it properly, or probably a side is bent and then I have to lose it again. Fine, even if I have to lose it again, it's not a problem, but it slows down my progress for the day. It slows down my target for the day. What if I have like 5 orders of this particular print? If I start losing here and there, how do I expect to achieve my goal within a short time frame? And mind you, when you are fulfilling your orders, even though you have a time frame written there, it's always advisable if you can beat it. Most customers with my experience over the years, they are not patient. And I'm sure you feel the same too. If you are ordering probably a new phone or something, and then they tell you they are delivering in few days, and then a few days is here, they've not come, you'll be anticipating, so you have to work smart, and by working smart means you get it right. Isn't this looking beautiful already? Isn't it? And the beautiful thing about this is when you turn your fabric to the other side, you can see that we've hidden the stitch inside. So when you turn it inside out, it's neat. When you turn it outside, it's neat as well. So I'm going to do the same for this. Let me assume this is the front. I'm going to do the same for the back. When I'm done with the back, I'm going to do the same for the sleeve. Remember, I loosened the sleeve, and I'll do the same for the other sleeve. So let me just pause the video. I hope you understand this. I'll see you after this. Okay, so I am done with attaching the fringe to the 4 corners. That is, I've attached it to the sleeves, and I've attached it to the front and the back. Let me show you so you can see it properly. Okay, here you go. Can you see it's looking all nice and lovely already? So down to the next step. We are going to make use of this item is called a bias. It's called a bias. You can get them online. You can get them at your tailor shop. You can get them on eBay. They are called bias. You know, they are used for your finishing process. So I'm going to just show you how I'm going to make use of this. I'm going to put my sewing project under my machine. I'm going to feed my machine with it. Please, you need to pay close attention to this. Let me make that a close-up shot. You need to pay close attention to this. I always prefer to start the bias from the shoulder side. When I say shoulder side, you know, it's a round neck. This part is the front. This part is probably the back. I'm talking about the shoulder side. So you can start from this left or this right. So let me just start from here. Now, if you look at the bias, it has an opening and this other side is smooth. So we are going to work with the open parts. All I'm going to do is look at it closely. You notice it's been folded already by the manufacturer. So I'm going to take just one side and I'm going to work with the line on one side. Don't forget, you can open it like this, but because it's been folded from the manufacturer, you can tell that the lines are there and they are visible. So I'm going to make use of this line, and all I have to do is put it right on the edge of this. You see? Right on the edge. Working with the line and then sewing it straight to my fabric. Don't forget, this is a neckline. Whatever you do, you need to be very careful with your neckline. You have to get your curves straight. This is perhaps the most important part of this whole project, this neckline, because you can't have your left side all bent while you have the right side looking all funny. You need to get it right once and for all. And as I said, you need to practice your sewing 101. I'm going to teach you that pretty soon. So let's go straight to this. In as much as I'm a professional, I am really going to take my time with this neckline. I won't try to be too fast or try to be a superhero. Neither will I try to impress my audience. No, I'm going to mess it up. And don't forget, I said this is a client project as well. I just decided to film it and then show you how it's produced from the scratch. You can see that I'm really taking my time as well. And while you are making it, be very careful. Try not to let your needle get to the other side. Maintain the line. You can see what I'm saying. Let me try. See, it's folded, right? While you are sewing, restrict your needle to just one part of the folded bias part. Just restrict yourself to one side. So I am trying to restrict my needle to just this side. So while I'm sewing, I will try not to come this way. It's going to affect the total outlook of this outfit. So I need to be really careful as well. So I'm taking my time. And as I said, practice makes perfect. You need to keep practicing over and over and over and over and over again. The moment you get it right, you have no problem. You are good to go. But please trust me when I tell you that I have produced students that had just 3 months experience in sewing, and they didn't even bother themselves with learning every aspect of fashion. Some of them just restricted their trainings to making blouses, some to making pants, some to making dresses. It totally depends on you. Totally depends on you. Okay, you notice the neckline is called a round neck. Since it's a round neck, it's not like a linear sewing pattern, so I'm stylishly bending as well. I'm curving as well stylishly, so I'm taking it 1 centimeter at a time. The moment you realize or you notice that you've gone off track, it's okay. You have to go back and make sure you get your bend. Get your bend properly. So apparently I've gotten to the other side where I started from, so I'm just going to cut this off so that it overlays what I have there. This part is also delicate, the parts where I'm overlaying it with where I started from, so it's totally lovely and seamless. There you go. Always remember to stop stitch. When I say stop stitch, I mean before you get your fabric off your feeder, you run the stitches forward and backward so you do not risk it losing. Okay, so now that I'm done with that, you should have this. I'm sure you have the same thing. So the next step is you notch. When I say notch, is you just like little cuts. Be very careful. This notch helps the neckline, or where you sewed, but where you run your stitches across, it makes it sit a lot better. There's a lot of difference when you notch and when you don't. You still get your desired result, but it won't lay really flat. So that is it. So this is what I'm going to do now. Mind you, I'm still on the right side of my fabric. Okay, let me lay this so you won't get confused. I'm still on the right side of my fabric, right? Did you see that? So this is all I'm doing. Did you see? So to make it easier to sew, I'm just going to fold it inside. So I'm going to have my, so don't forget I'm sewing from the inside now. I didn't lay it over the machine because it won't, there's no way I'll be able to sew, so I had to bend it in a way. We are gradually coming to the end of this design. I didn't bother top stitching because I know by the time I'm done, I'm still going to get to that part, so I didn't bother about that. I knew I'm still coming. You can see the way I'm systematically taking my time. Come on, let me try to extend this a little. So that you can see it properly. Let me pause this. Okay, I adjusted the angle of the camera so that you can see this a lot better. Okay. I'm also stylishly using my fingers to tuck the excesses in, even though I'm still gonna do that at the finishing stage, you know. But there's absolutely nothing wrong in me getting it right once and for all. I'm still going around my curves. I'm almost done, guys. Almost done. Okay. Here you go. Now look at this beautiful neckline. Beautiful neckline. Did you see that? So I'm thinking I should quickly stitch the label on it. I can do that later. I'll do that later. Let me focus on the trading. So the next thing here is I'll be doing is turning this inside out. Turning this inside out. This is the sleeve part. Basically, it's like joining the front and the back together. So let's get back to work. Sorry. So I'm taking the front. I folded the front and the back together, like this is the last stage. So I'm starting from the armhole side, like the part, like let me say under your armpits, you know, that part. So I'm gonna be taking joining the front and the back from this side together. Don't make it too tight. Don't make it too tight. So don't forget that it doesn't have a zip, so that it can be easy for your client to just fit in as if she is wearing a buba. You know our buba now, they don't have zips anywhere, so this is the concept, more like buba blouse. You know, so I've done one side, now to the other side. Here you go. Don't forget that what you take from the left is what you take from the right. What do I mean by that? I took almost an inch in the fitting from here at the left side or at the other side, and I'm doing the same on the right side, so that there will be a balance when your client is wearing an outfit. Not that one side will be bent, the other side will be straight. No, it's going to sit well, it's going to sit perfectly. Okay. Now we are done. Yippee! Let's see what this looks like. Okay. Okay. This is what it looks like on the mannequin. Nice and lovely, innit? Thank you for staying tuned. I'll see you in my next video. And don't forget, your measurements is important. You can make this size a bigger size, you can make it a smaller size depending on what your client wants. And this outfit belongs to a client, but still I'm going to put it in all my social media pages, and it's also going on my shopping store. So whenever I have orders for it, in fact I think I have two. One is confirmed, the other isn't confirmed. So as soon as you make one or two of this, I would advise you take nice pictures of them. I'm going to take nice pictures of them pretty soon. Take nice pictures of them, put them online, wear them to occasions, wear them to events. Then people tend to ask you, oh, this is lovely, I like it. Oh, you like it? I made it and I'm selling also. Would you like to buy? Put your price tag on it and then start cashing in. Please, no time to waste. Thank you for sticking with me. I will see you in my next video. Bye.